Greystone, once known more for his noble speeches than his battlefield prowess, had a rough start. His heroic charges often ended in disaster, like the time he confidently dove into a 1v5, only to respawn seconds later in sheer embarrassment. Realizing he needed more than just courage, Greystone sought out Colonel Cal, the legendary tactician.
Master! I have... It's very bad news.
Greystone.
There is just news. There is no good or bad.
Under Cal's mentorship, Greystone learned the finer points of battle strategy, how to time his engagements, use his ultimate wisely, and actually survive those 1v5 situations. With Cal's tips and tricks, Greystone transformed from a reckless knight into a calculated, unyielding force. Greystone's journey proves that even the bravest heroes need a good mentor to truly become unstoppable.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, fellow Predecessor enjoyers. As always, appreciate you for checking out the video. Today I'm going to be bringing you another tips and tricks guide, both for newer players to get an edge up on their peasant casual opponents, and for more experienced players that are just looking for ways to improve their skills more. There's going to be something in here for everyone, but super quickly before we get started, I just want to thank everyone for being patient with my upload frequency. I am doing my best to bring quality videos that people find helpful, so it's awesome seeing that pay off, and I'm super glad people are finding them helpful. But we're not going to waste any time. I'm going to give you 20 rapid fire tips to help you get better at Predecessor. So tip number 1 is for my jungle mains out there. I want you to go into your settings and scroll down until you see item slot 1. Change the cast type to instant, and this is going to allow you to, as the name implies, instantly cast your smite on jungle objectives instead of having to hit it twice. This is going to be super clutch for your objective fights. Tip number 2 is that most aura abilities in the game do not stack. This goes for Fire Blossom, Flux Matrix, Tainted items, Martial, etc. The same goes for slow effects, but it does apply the highest value of those stacks. Number 3 is don't forget about your active crest slot. Everyone gets one of these and it can be upgraded by following the instructions on the bottom right side of your screen. These can make or break fights often, so don't forget. Tip number 4 is if you're looking for more detailed stats on your account until Omeda decides to add them in game, check out omeda.city. They have instructions on how to link your account, and you'll be able to look through tons of different stats and get an idea for what the meta is as well. Tip number 5 is staying alive is infinitely more important than getting kills. We've all seen the Chimera dive tower with half health trying to quote-unquote secure a kill, or have the offlaner chase their opponent all the way across the map right into an ambush. Giving up literally any kills in Predecessor is huge because it can be the start of the whole enemy snowball. If you get a blink or chunk them down to very low health, just back off. You don't need a kill every time for it to be a big play. If you gank duo lane and they have to blink and then go back to their base, it's a free Fang Tooth for you and a huge boost for the team. Tip number 6 is do not use your blink offensively. This ties together with tip number 5 because so many people will blink after me to secure a kill instead of just backing up and taking advantage of them not having a blink and probably having to back, denying them precious farm. Tip number 7 is your upgraded support crest grants you 3 wards every time you back to base. You don't have to buy them or wait for the full cooldown. So if you notice you have any before backing, always slap them down. Tip number 8 is come hang out on my live stream and come ask me any questions that you have while I'm playing. I pretty much only stream ranked games and I'm currently making a push for Paragon, so I'd love to have you along with me for that. Links and schedules are in the description if that's something you're interested in.
Subscribe, motherfucker!
And tip number 9 is for the first 20 minutes of the game, if you're in the jungle or support role, you're going to get less gold and XP for last hitting the lane minions. This discourages those lanes from taking too much of your farm, so if you think you're getting extra soul by pushing your dead solo's lane after ignoring him, you're not, so stop it. Get some help. Tip number 10 is if you're a new player, I would recommend finding one hero in every role that you're at least okay with. This is going to improve your odds of winning games where you don't get your preferred role. Don't be the guy that can only play ADC. And tip number 11 is for the first 8 minutes of the game, your T1 tower is going to have additional armor on it. This is going to make it very difficult to take down in that period, so don't be afraid to back if you're low health or in a bad spot. Most people won't be able to take your tower or even deal much damage to it within that time period. The same should be said for the opposite though. It's not really worth hard pushing a tower for the first 8 minutes. Just use that time to try and get a gank or put pressure elsewhere. Tip number 12 is the jungle's knife passive that regenerates your health and gives you more sustain in the jungle does not work on ranged heroes. Please stop trying to bring Iggy and Scorch into the jungle. I'm begging you. Tip number 13 is level and item advantage are huge in this game. Do not try and fight your opponent even if they have just 1 level on you unless they're really beat up and you have a good opportunity. The last thing you need is to continue feeding them. Play safer and stop W-keying into them thinking the 7th fight in a row is going to be any different. And tip number 14 is over the course of a game, players will accumulate a player bounty or a farm streak and eventually will get a bounty put on them, which you can see by opening the scoreboard and looking under the player's name. So if you're really fed and just wiping the floor,
well, how about next time you get a board that can handle the neutron style? Later, Nicorama!
if anything, you want to be more careful not to give up that bounty easy. It's a huge way for losing teams to start a comeback. And tip number 15 is don't fight your opponent with a minion disadvantage, especially in the early game. Minions will seriously fuck up your day, and never start a fight with somebody if they have a full wave of minions. The second you damage the enemy hero, all of them are going to aggro on you and they deal a lot of damage, so pick your fights wisely and understand when an opponent might be trying to set up for a big minion push and quote-unquote all in you. Number 16 is understand the fine line between rotating and farming. Both are very important, but understanding when to do them is even more important. If you want more details on how to do this, check out this video. Tip number 17 is Omnivamp is going to grant you lifesteal from all sources of damage you deal, including abilities and basic attacks. Lifesteal will only grant you healing from your auto attacks. They are different stats. Tip number 18 is use your abilities strategically. They're your hero's strongest tool and a huge way to dictate the course of fights. Don't just spam your entire kit at whoever's in front of you. For example, as someone like Fang Mao, don't use your blink ability to engage on a hero you have the element of surprise on if you don't have to. Save it for if the enemy uses their blink to try and get away or escape some other way. This way you have the ability to close the gap instead of just standing in lane looking like a clown. Tip number 19 is ward utilization is huge in helping you elevate your gameplay. Always be placing these whenever they're off cooldown and positioning yourself close to them so you have time to react in the event of a gank. Don't be the person that just places them down and ignores the Chimera ping as he's running right at you for 5 seconds straight. And our last tip for the video is target prioritization, which is key to winning your team fights. So often do I see people just focus everything on the steal standing in front of them instead of the half-dead ADC standing just outside range. Your top priorities in every single team fight as a character in any role should be the highest damage dealing opponents. Usually this is their ADC or mid lane. They're also very squishy, so don't require a lot to take down besides good coordination. Ignore everybody else and focus these heroes out of the fights and you'll win significantly more than not. There you have it, 20 rapid fire tips and tricks that I'm hoping will help you get over that next rank hurdle or just up your game in general. If you'd like to connect with me personally, hop into our community Discord where we do weekly custom matches, have lots of ranked or pub buddies to group up with, including myself, and it's just a fun place to hang out and get any questions you might have answered. If you think I missed anything, feel free to leave your own tips down in the comments, and let's make this video a hub for all the tips and tricks. Appreciate y'all again if you watched till the end, and I'll see you in the next one.